Hey everyone, it's time for Good Week Israel. Well, we'll give you ILTV's latest positive highlights of the week. Get ready to smile because coming up, archaeologists unveiling the first ever direct evidence in the Levant of a royal purple pigment made of snails. Stay tuned for more because a recently published research paper may soon pave the way for landmark treatments against various brain diseases. And how do we obtain wisdom? Stay tuned to find out. Researchers from the Israeli Antiquities Authority unveiling 3 textile scraps imbued with the regal and rare Argman purple dye dating back to over 3,000 years ago. Take a look.
Welcome to Slaves Hill in the Timna Valley, a gorgeous desert region just north of the southernmost Israeli city of Eilat and home to the ancient copper mining district from over 3,000 years ago, or the time of the biblical King Solomon. Copper isn't the color of the latest discovery from Timna that's exciting researchers, however. Rather, it's these scraps of fabric dating to 1000 BCE, or the Iron Age era of King David. Because unlike other textiles from antiquity, these scraps are the oldest known examples found in the entire Levantine region, dyed in the biblically described Argaman royal purple. Also known as Tyrian or true purple, the dye is mentioned in the Hebrew Bible or Torah dozens of times, and due to its rarity and quality, it was the most highly valued color at the time, costing more even than gold, and being primarily associated with nobility, priests, royalty, and for use in the Jewish tabernacle and temple. As for why it was so rare, the dye is produced by the glands of 3 different species of live murex sea snails, found only in the Mediterranean Sea over 300 kilometers away from Timna. And as you can see, the color can last for millennia. Until now, though, researchers had only discovered mollusk shell waste and potsherds with small patches of dye, providing only indirect evidence of the purple industry in the ancient Iron Age.
In other news, the focus on clean and green technology is still going strong here in Israel, and now it's being highlighted in the exciting Sustain IL 2021 startup competition. The online contest aiming at finding solutions to environmental challenges and celebrating Israeli companies that lead in the trend. And the event is hosted this year by Startup Nation Central, an independent nonprofit that connects Israeli entrepreneurs to world leaders, NGOs, businesses, and much more. But of the more than 100 applicants to Sustain IL, just 6 were chosen to compete as finalists against a panel of judges. And of the 6, waste conversion startup companies UBQ and Clarion took home the top prizes from mature stage track and early stage track innovations, respectively. Still, never shy of challenges, remaining Israeli entrepreneurs continue to reinvent themselves using their knowledge to impact the world for the better. Israel ranking 6th on the Global Clean Tech Innovation Index. Now, speaking of prize-worthy achievements, results from a recently published research paper may soon pave the way for landmark treatments against various brain diseases. Imagine a technology given a detailed Google map of the location of genes inside of the brain. Well, thanks to an Israeli-led research team, such a technology is on the verge of occurring. Teams from Bar-Ilan University, Harvard, and MIT detailing how they analyze the hippocampus of the brain without destroying any tissues. In other words, while doctors have for years struggled to analyze RNA or ribonucleic acid from brain tissue, now they can do so at the nanoscale resolution level. And this likely leading to breakthroughs in the fight against Alzheimer's and other similar illnesses. Research author Dr. Shachar Alon saying that, quote, it's the equivalent of having a vast and detailed Google map of a location of genes inside the brain and other tissues rather than a low-resolution image or a simple list of the genes that are there. Now, moving on, soon you will be seeing Tesla electric cars on Israeli streets as they are officially available for purchase and at a relatively affordable price. Israelis can check out the merchandise and take vehicles for test drives at the company's 2 showrooms in Ramat Aviv and Petach Tikva. Customers already jamming up Tesla's online store, indicating that the first consignment of cars could be well on its way to selling out. Ultimately, if Tesla is successful in Israel, it could transform the local electric car industry. The cars start at just under 180,000 shekel, and yes, this is pretty affordable for a Tesla. Moving on, as universities around the globe approach open house season, this year online, of course, so are post-secondary institutions in Israel, including the IDC Herzliya. Chana Rifkin with more.
The IDC Herzliya is known as a forward-thinking and entrepreneurial university. All its programs, whether it be business, government, or any other track offered, follow the same principles, heightening career opportunities upon graduation. The various different tracks include degrees in the fields of government, economics, business and innovation, organizational behavior and development, machine learning and data science, and digital innovation, all of which allow students to live in Israel while studying in English and at the center of high-tech innovation and counter-terrorism training. With each track comes opportunity to work with real-life companies and network with the Israeli and worldwide communities. The MBA in Healthcare Innovation, for example, partners with Tel Aviv Sheba Medical Center to provide students with practical experience at Sheba's Advanced Innovation Lab, among other internships, as they train to become future leaders, leading transformation in the industry.
And it brings together all the unique elements of Israeli innovation and academics to provide an MBA experience which is unparalleled.
And the up-and-coming human-computer interaction track is an interactive experience allowing for students with an interest in digital innovation to develop an understanding of the digital world and learn how to influence it.
The program is relevant to many career paths. First, product teams, UX design, UX research, and interaction design. But also for people that want to innovate interactive technologies in the fields of robotics, product innovation, physical digital interactions, augmented reality, virtual reality.
This track is project-based, giving students the option to develop their own personal passions or to work with industry partners. Some veteran degrees include organizational behavior economics, an 11-month MBA, and 3 government tracks, all of which have notable track records in producing professional and prepared graduates for their respective industries.
Join us. I look forward to seeing you among our students at IDC.
For more information on how you can boost your career with the IDC Herzliya's International Graduate Program, visit www.idc.ac.il/en.
And now, let's take a look at the ILTV interview on the IDC graduate programs.
All right, let's speak with the head of the MA in Counter-terrorism, Professor Boaz Ganor, about the graduate programs at the IDC and what it has to offer to its advanced graduate students. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, I'd love to hear more about the counterterrorism program that you're running there. And if somebody does want to study counterterrorism, why should they do it in Israel?
Well, I think it's obvious. Counterterrorism, it's definitely obvious because we are the spearhead of the field globally. Unlike many other MA degrees, and we have many of them at IDC Herzliya, on that matter, on counterterrorism and security studies, we are regarded as the leading institution in the world, and we have dozens of students which are coming to Israel. Some of them are not even Jews, I have to say. They are coming because they want to expand their horizon and learn. And that's what makes IDC as a whole, and this discipline as well, so unique, because we combine academic excellence on one hand and a lot of practical experience, and the students are getting both in a very condensed manner. Usually an MA degree is 1 year or 2 years, depends which track. They get everything that they can get from the Israeli experience in this field, and also the academic approaches. Since it's an international program, we have an international class, of course. And by the way, IDC Herzliya is the biggest international campus in Israel. Although we are not very big university, but we're a spearhead of the private academic institutions in Israel. And we have, most of the international students are coming to the IDC campus in order to learn there. And this gives the ability also to get experience from other countries, coming from other students. Sure.
So if somebody comes, studies counterterrorism in this program, what kind of careers could they look forward to in the future?
First of all, we are talking about an MA degree. Now, MA degree, at least in my view, and this is a general observation, it's aimed towards 2 types of students. those who just finished their undergraduate degrees, having a BA, and now they would like to focus in their elderly life in a subject matter that interests them and develop a career there. Those are the first type of students that we have in an MA program, any MA program. The second type is the mid-career students, those that already started to work in the field, and now they want to expand their knowledge and to gain more experience in order to climb in the levels of their own career altogether. In counterterrorism, we have both of them. We have those which are interested in getting into a career in counterterrorism, and career in counterterrorism goes to different fields. It could be private sector, consulting firms, technological companies, and so on and so forth. It could be, of course, governmental institutions, security services from all over the world, intelligence, military, police. It could be academia. The field of counterterrorism starts to be in demand globally, and this is an interdisciplinary phenomenon. Think about any academic discipline that you have in mind, and you find relevance to terrorism. Psychology, sociology, political science, law, criminology. All of those students are interested to learn counterterrorism, and they come to IDC to learn that.
So how many MA programs does the IDC offer? And I have to ask, how has the curriculum been affected during the pandemic?
So let me say, first of all, I think we have more than a dozen tracks of an MA. IDC is focusing mainly on social sciences, but we have also computer science and other schools which are focusing in that. But IDC stands for the Interdisciplinary Center, and that's what we are all about. We are on interdisciplinary approaches. I told you about the interdisciplinary approach in counterterrorism, but you can see that in every possible field. Now, the latter part of the question is very interesting, because I have to say that I was very skeptical when the coronavirus crisis erupted. I said to myself, this probably will prevent from students to join us. We have the peak year probably ever in the interest of students. Students around the world understand the unique capability to gain this knowledge today online with the Zoom, without the need to travel to Israel. Some of them are still going on with their career and getting their MA degree in those different disciplines altogether. Others canceled their trips around the world and didn't succeed yet to find a new path of career, because this is not the time to find new career activities. So they build their tools and their arsenal of knowledge by joining us to our MA programs.
Well, at least the pandemic is having some good influence in some way on the world. All right, Boaz Ganor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
How do we obtain wisdom, and how do we continue to grow? Rabbi Shlomo Farhi from kosher.com explains.
Everybody in the world is looking for wisdom. The trouble with wisdom today is that yesterday's wisdom is tomorrow's fairy tales. All the things that we used to think we know get challenged each and every day, and we wind up with understandings that outstrip everything that we once knew. What is the one constant of wisdom? In Judaism, the idea of wisdom, or the body of wisdom, is called the Torah. It's the message of God handed down from the very heavens to humanity itself, challenging it to rise up above its limited self and reach for immortality. There's a crazy thing about the countdown to the receiving of the Torah that we read about in this week's parsha. We count from the redemption of Passover to the time when the Jewish people arrived at Mount Sinai. 7 weeks of 7 days. And after those 49 days are done, ta-da! Shavuot, the holiday at which the Jewish people received the Torah. It is celebrated all throughout the world by Jewish people, indicating their love and their adoration for this great gift, the gift of knowledge, of wisdom, of Torah. But the funny thing is that, different to all the other holidays that are listed in the parasha, each holiday is given a date. Rosh Hashanah is on the first day of the month of Tishrei. The 10th of Tishrei, Yom Kippur. 15th, Sukkot. Each holiday is given the date on which it occurs in the calendar. But Shavuot is different. Shavuot is the final countdown. And when it's done, Shavuot, why can't we be trusted with exactly which day it's on? Why aren't we told that day? And there's a great secret here. And this concept, I think, lies at the root of what true wisdom is in all of its forms. The Mishnah tells us, Ezehu Chacham, who is a wise man, Halomed Mikol Adam, he who learns from all men. Now that sounds crazy. If I'm a teacher, why would I learn from a student? I know more than them. And the answer is that a true pursuer of wisdom is one who understands that at no stage in his life, at no stage in her development, will he or she know everything that there is to know. And therefore, it's crucial to be able to look outside of yourself, to be able to gain knowledge or wisdom. There's a great line I once heard. If you're speaking, you're not learning anything new. If that's true, then it is very important that the journey for wisdom is just that, it's a journey. The great commentator, the Kli Yakar, says that if I gave you a day on which we celebrated wisdom, then we'd celebrate wisdom on that day, but we wouldn't seek it each and every day. But that's not what we do. I still remember once I walked into synagogue and I saw this guy sitting off in the corner holding the prayer book upside down. It was quite clear that he didn't know literally which way was up. So I walked over, I hope not so patronizingly, but walked over to him and turned his book upside down. He just looked up at me. And then I looked down at the book. The binding of the book had been printed upside down. He was actually holding it the right way up the whole time. But my assumption, because of what I saw, told me that I was a teacher and that he was a student. But that's almost never the case. There's something in each and every person's experience, because of the way it differs from yours, that you can learn from. The Jewish custom of calling a wise man is not a chacham per se, but we call our wise men talmidei chachamim, the students of wise men, because the ultimate wise man is one who never forgets that he is still a student. The process of seeking knowledge, which is 7 times 7, 49 days, represents this process that we go through. And it is the process itself that makes us wise. One of the amazing ideas that we learn about Torah is that actually it doesn't even matter if while you're studying Torah you got it right or wrong. Why? Surely if it is an instruction manual, then the important thing is getting it right. But actually we don't learn that way. The Talmud says that when someone passes away, one of the questions they're going to ask him is, Kavata itim la Torah. Did you set aside time to learn? Which is a weird question to ask, because maybe I set aside time to learn, but I didn't learn much. And the point is so telling. If you set aside time to learn, if you go through the process and attempt to learn, attempt to better yourself, even if you didn't quite get it right this time, you still have refined the way you think. You still have spent time contemplating in a mindful state what the right approach to something is. That process itself is incredibly valuable. And that leads to wisdom itself. The blessing in the morning that we make over the words of Torah, if you're Sephardic, is al divrei Torah, on the words of Torah. If you're Ashkenaz, it's la'asok b'divrei Torah, to toil in the words. On the words or to toil in the words. In neither scenario does it talk about the actual process of knowledge. It's repeating the words, the mantra, going through the process, thinking it through again, that ultimately leads us to where we're going. And even when we get it wrong, we still got it right. I'll leave you with this last example. You know, when you have kids, the most important thing in the world that you can do is try and make the right decisions for them so that when the time comes that they should make their own decisions, when they're old enough to take on that mantle, you've put them in the best possible position for success. But it's so easy to get it wrong. How can we as parents always make the right decisions? And the answer is we can't. But there's one shortcut. When our kids can feel that we made every decision for them out of pure love, out of care, and out of concern, then even when we get it wrong, we still get it right. Because the child understands where that decision came from. They don't hold it against you if they know that it wasn't from an agenda, if they know that it wasn't from some place of arrogance, that my kids have to be in this school, that my kid needs to be on the football team. So long as you approach it from the right place, the decision itself comes across to the child as a choice that was made by a loving parent trying to nurture their kid. The same is true in the process of trying to obtain knowledge. Every mistake in an idea is an attempt in your brain to further find truth, so long as that search never ends, so long as there isn't a day that you're looking forward to, but rather a process that you are undergoing. Shabbat Shalom.
And finally, take out your pen and your paper because we are learning how to make ratatouille, a versatile low-carb side dish that can be made days in advance, making your dinner preparation that much easier.
With so many meals on the menu, I try to fill them with as many veggies as I can. This is one of the few that I can actually make in advance instead of waiting till the last minute. And the best part is that you can make this at least 5 days in advance. You can serve it hot or cold. This one is a winner. What I love best about this dish is that it's super versatile. Serve it with chicken, fish, meat. It really goes with anything.
That's all for today's Good Week Israel. Hope we've helped you start your week off with a smile. I'm Emmanuel Kadosh, and see you next week.